Welcome back everyone. In this tutorial we're going to be talking about coordinates. This is more for games and not apps, but I suspect some of you want to make games. This concept is mostly used in games, but is good for any kind of programming. The concept is XY coordinates. That sounds complicated, but it's actually easier than it sounds. When you put a graphic to the screen, it has a coordinate. This is how far left and how far up the object is. This ring is on the screen and it has a certain number of units left and a certain number of units up. That is the coordinates. Usually these units are pixels, which are those tiny little squares that actually make up the screen. We call these units x and y coordinates. It is very easy to forget which way is x and which way is y. It took me a long time to figure out, and if it takes you a long time, don't worry about it. X coordinates move left and right across the screen. The y coordinates move up and down. So if you look at the circle, it has an x and y coordinate. We usually separate the two numbers by a comma. And if we move the circle around, the x and y coordinates change. But where do we start from? There has to be an x and y coordinate of 0, 0. Well, there is, and it's called the origin. The origin is usually at a corner. You can also do this with code. There's a certain kind of variable called a vector2 that has a value of a coordinate. As you can see, this variable is set differently than other ones we have seen before. The variable type is vector2, the name is location, but what happens next? Sometimes when you set a variable, you have to let the compiler know that you're creating a new variable. In this case, all you have to do is type in new vector2. As you can see, the first example does not set the xy coordinates, but the second one does. We can also set the game object's coordinate to a vector2. You can see the example. Remember, it is best to write down these examples in a text editor for practice. We can also add vector coordinates to existing vectors. This is like adding 1 plus 1 but with coordinates instead. Well, this sounds pretty complicated, but sometimes game programming can actually be a little bit harder than app programming. That concludes the tutorial. I'll see you guys next time.